In this last video of our Korea series, we want to give you an overview of Seoul and highlight some of the best parts of this city, which turned out to be one very unique metropolis with vastly different faces. From the hip and K-poppy district of Myeongdong and the glamorous business district of Gangnam over to the historic hills of Bukchon Hanok village, as well as movie-worthy old palace districts, Seoul's vibes differ so much that you might find yourself questioning if you are still in the same city or even century. So if you are into Korean culture or maybe even considering traveling to Seoul, this video will give you a good understanding and overview of this amazing city, as well as a multiple day itinerary. First of all, you will most likely fly into Incheon Airport, which is quite far from the city center. Your best bet is to take the train and estimate a 90-minute journey to and from the city. Seoul is quite big, and if you stay in Seoul for the first time, we highly recommend staying north of Namsan Mountain Park, since this is a very central location which makes most of the interesting areas of the city easy to reach even on foot. We stayed at an Airbnb close to Chungmoro Station, which turned out to be the perfect spot. But now, let's explore one of the absolute main sites of the city, the historic Gyeongbokgung, please correct me in the comments, palace, with its calm and traditional vibes. This place almost makes you feel like you're going back in time. So we're walking out here a little bit towards the north of the city, and we came to this more open section, and it opens up into that direction, and then there's one big palace in the background that is one of the most visited and famous tourist destinations. Since it's Sunday, it looks very busy. I think this is the most famous one. I think it's called Gyeongbokgung Palace. I have no idea how to say this, I'm sorry. It looks very nice, very much what I'm picturing Chinese architecture looks like.
Yeah, it reminds me of like the Forbidden Palace in Beijing a little bit.
Exactly, those are things that you hear about as a kid, you see in Jackie Chan movies, but I've never been, so I'm very giddy. I'm excited to see this kind of architecture for the first time, really. I don't know what changes back there, but I guess we're gonna get a ticket right there. Tickets were just 6,000 Korean won, which is a little bit over $4. Thank you. So we just noticed coming in that there are so many people dressed up in these traditional dresses, a lot of girls, but also a good amount of guys. There's a bunch of kids fighting with katanas and stuff. And I think there's a separate line for them to come in. And I wonder if they get free entrance fee, because they kind of enhance the flair of this like old palace with their classic traditional attire, and that would be actually a pretty cool way to just, I don't know, enhance this experience here for the regular tourists, if that's a thing. Dude, there's like hundreds of them. I wonder if it's some type of holiday right now, or if this is a regular occurrence here at this palace.
One of the first warm days of the year.
Yeah. We only expected this inner courtyard with the big main building in the center, which we approach here. But boy, this place was much bigger, with many layers of walls, buildings in different sections. This is amazing. This looks like out of a video game like Ghost of Tsushima or something, or any of these classic movies where the monks train in the temple. Like, okay, we're in Korea, but still, dude. Epic. We quickly check out the main building, and turning around you can see the contrast of the old palace in the foreground and modern Seoul in the back. So aside from that inner courtyard with the big palace in the center, there's like a whole village around here with more of these pockets and sections of all these buildings. And dude, this just feels like a huge film set.
This was built in the 14th century during the Joseon dynasty, but it was destroyed during the Japanese invasion. So most of this that you're seeing has been redone, rebuilt, obviously repainted and renovated. It's good representation. Just thinking of 600 years ago, you're just wandering these streets here in your traditional outfits, preparing for war and stuff during the Seo area. Every good Asian palace needs a proper Zen garden for the highborn to stroll around in. This one has a little lake and is very Instagrammable with the modern city in the background. And back here, it doesn't even feel busy anymore. Highly recommend it. Dude, this whole area is humongous. Probably like a whole village in the past. Just came from way back there and it still keeps going.
There's this whole lake section here with more temples and stuff. You basically spend the entire day here walking around, and it's a very popular spot for taking pictures and dressing up in traditional stuff.
Continuing day one, there's a National Folk Museum right next to the palace. It is a museum celebrating Korean history and culture. And as of right now, it's free entry. Plus we lucked out with all of these spring flowers blooming. It's absolutely beautiful. And then keep going east to Bukchong Hanong village. This area is hilly and you will feel your legs going up some of these streets. But the views are absolutely worth the burn.
Man, I don't know. We're just going a little elevated now above the city. The weather is just awesome, 20 degrees, a little bit of golden hour almost. This is like some anime shit. You step off the streets, it's super calm all of a sudden. Look at this, just pedestrians, super quiet.
This is a residential area of Seoul that has many restored traditional Korean houses, which has made it a bit of a tourist destination. So we recommend being quiet and respectful in this area, as it is still home to many people.
So I think this area, this neighborhood is called Bukchong village, and it's more the traditional Korea, where they say if you want the vibes from hundreds of years ago, then you come to this location. And yeah, it feels awesome. It's very hilly, which always helps. And then it's these smaller streets and alleyways with all these traditional rooftops. So it looks absolutely awesome.
There were quite a few garages and windows that have been turned into shops and cafes for tourists. I was in search for a cute plushie, but decided to go with some super traditional strawberry ice cream.
Ice cream they served hundreds of years ago.
I love strawberry ice cream. It's awesome.
Just needed a little bit of fuel to make it over to the final destination of day one. We continued south to Insadong, which is known for artsy vibes with open art galleries, traditional tea houses, and Korean eateries.
So we're walking through Insadong shopping street, and I really like that there's so many pedestrian sections here and so many pedestrians in general.
I completely agree. I love walkable cities, and Seoul has so many pedestrian-only zones along with great public transportation connecting so many different districts. The walking street of Insadong had so many shops selling clothes and souvenirs, and so many great smelling food stalls. On our way back to our accommodation, it started raining and we just hopped into the small local restaurant and both ended up ordering a spicy beef and dumpling soup to warm up. Our 9,000 won meals came with kimchi, tea, and of course, rice. Looking back, this was one of my favorite meals on this trip, which was an unplanned dinner stop and perfect way to end the first day in Seoul.
On day 2, we recommend to visit Seoul's famous Gwangjang food market. The market is located right along the Gyeonggi Urban Park, which is this 11-kilometer long stream flowing right across the city center. It is very nice for a casual stroll and a good example of urban planning done right. Oh, and it's featured in many K-dramas, so maybe consider this as a quick detour on your way to the market. Speaking of, when you arrive at Gwangjang market, it will most likely be busy, tight and loud.
So interesting setup. We just walked in, and along the whole walk line here, people are just sitting and eating. They cook right there and then they hand it out. That's quite cool. And it's tight. I'm too big for this country. It's hard with a backpack especially.
The market recently gained a bit of a tourist trap reputation, however, we found that it is still worth going. Many street vendors offer local delicacies that are worthy to try.
Just to give you an idea, we sat down at one of these small stalls, and there's always somebody preparing food right in front of you, which is quite cool. And you just sit on these little benches, and they are heated as well. This seems to be like the thing to do at the market. All these lines in the stores have pretty much the same food they offer. But then there's also little shops on the outside, and we might check one out.
I want to try one of these dumplings because I love filled dumplings. As a kid, whenever we made dumplings, I always overfilled mine. So I'm going to give this minced meat one a try.
I'm trying one of the tteokbokki, I think. Look at it, man. It's steaming.
I do like the addition of these glass noodles in these dumplings. It still has like that spring onion, this lighter flavor with the minced meat, but these glass onions give it a little more of a filling, which I really like.
Trying local food is in our opinion the best way to experience regional culture. We dedicated a full video to just this market experience, and if you're interested in the details, the link to that video is in the description below. After leaving the market, we recommend heading west on the Riverwalk over to a small district around the Jonggak Avenue of Youth. We kinda stumbled upon this area, and this turned out to be probably one of the visually most movie-esque looking parts of all of Seoul.
I haven't looked at any footage yet, but if this city isn't photogenic or videogenic, I don't know, man.
Yeah. This has to be a party street, right? I see a ton more cigarette butts than I normally do.
This area must be a lot of fun in the evenings, and if you haven't done so yesterday, you could just go north from here to Insadong, but we are heading south to what feels like Seoul's K-poppy shopping and restaurant core district, Myeongdong. Myeongdong is loud, colorful, exciting, and right in your face. It is the embodiment of modern Korean culture, and the people are just as stylish here as the shops are.
Every city needs music playing all the time. It's the best thing. Everywhere in Asia we go usually is left-sided traffic, but here it's right-sided, so that feels different as well. It's such a weird mix. I don't know. It feels like a different world right now. I don't know. I love it, man.
This is an amazing area to try more street food, go souvenir and fashion shopping, or try any of the great restaurants. Honestly, to us, Myeongdong feels like the real center of Seoul, and you could always come back here to do and see more.
On day 3, we recommend seeing more of the city and taking the convenient subway network south of the river to Gangnam. This area is world famous from the 2012 hit Gangnam Style.
Gangnam Style!
And it's one of the richest areas of Seoul, with upscale shops, restaurants, and homes in this area.
So we're just leaving Sinsa station. There's this big intersection behind us. And I think this is the start of the Gangnam district. And this is apparently like the rich area of Seoul. A lot of jobs, a lot of mega mansions, a lot of rich people, and a lot of high-end like shopping and stuff like that. Definitely feels way more open. The streets are huge. Feels like a real business district that was built when there was space. And of course, the workers need their coffee, the businessmen. Starbucks.
Yeah, it definitely feels like an affluent area, with the amount of shiny buildings, luxury cars, and designer outfits.
And it's a little rainy. The weather took a very big turn. It's like 9 degrees Celsius. It's raining. Very gray clouds.
We're wearing everything we have on us.
But we're gonna try to see more of the city despite the weather.
We didn't let the weather rain on our parade and bought some umbrellas walking around the polished streets.
But one thing I really like about the city is that it's really rolling hills. Rolling hilly. That there has a lot of rolling hills. It's always nice if you can see like an incline or decline like this. It just makes it look a little more epic. And then if you go on the side streets, it's pretty steep. You have the river in the center. Very cool. I think we're just going down this street of fancy hotels, and every hotel has like just a parade of fancy cars in front of it. So very upscale, very upscale.
And also decided to check out a mall with a huge casino attached. This mall honestly felt more like an airport. After all of this walking, nothing sounds better than some delicious Korean food. One of the most popular and highly recommended Korean food experiences to try in Korea is Korean barbecue. And if you want to watch this German guy try K-barbecue for the first time, check out our other video.
Noticing it's very hard to restrain myself from eating all the sides while the first batch of meat is still cooking, so come on!
One big thing that we missed out on is going up the Seoul Tower. We made the mistake of saving that for the last day, which ended up being too cloudy and rainy to make it worth it. Obviously, there are so many other things to do, but this is our recommendation with the limited 72 hours. If there are other activities and sites you recommend, let us know in the comments below. And thanks for watching. Bye!
So it's our last evening here in Seoul. Tomorrow morning we're heading to the airport and we're going to Japan next. This was an overall amazing first impression, a couple of days. I think this is definitely one of my favorite cities in the world so far.